All right. Welcome, everybody, to our last session of the day. I am so pleased to introduce Sean Dwyer from Zoom Info to finish us off today with his session on the sales dev tech landscape, how SDRs can excel using the latest tools. So, thank you so much, Sean, and I will let you take it from here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amanda. Good afternoon, everybody. Great to be here again, my second session of the day. Like Amanda said, I work at ZoomInfo. I'm a director of sales development here. So I oversee an outbound SDR team. But as a company, we leverage tech from an inbound and outbound SDR team, a customer-facing SDR team. So we've leveraged it in quite a few ways. So I'm going to get right into the presentation, run through some stuff today, and then absolutely happy to answer any questions at the end that I see pop up in the chat as well. So here we go. All right, perfect. So, the tech landscape and the SDR motion and how these two things intermingle and why they're so important to, me as a leader and ZoomInfo as a company from the SDR standpoint. Real quick, ZoomInfo is a publicly traded company. Safe harbor statement. Wanted to put this out there for everybody. But getting into it, right? So big thank you to David and his team for putting together these graphics over the years, right? It is put together in one place, just how busy, right, the marketing and sales tech landscape has been. And you can see that from this, right? How many different categories there are, how many different companies there are within those categories, right? And how this is going to continue to grow. And what you're looking at here is probably a 4 or 5 year old version, right, of this, right? And this is how busy it was that many years ago, right? Today, and the last one that David and his team was able to put out, right, for us in the sales development community, looks like this, right? More categories, more companies, it's busier than ever, right? And I think what this does, and in my opinion, right, it's kind of just stressing the importance of making the investment in tech, right? But to do so, right, you need to understand, like, what are you looking to get out of implementing it, right? What are the business outcomes that they need to drive, right? With this growing landscape overall, right, there's more and more players, there's more and more tools, right? Some of them fit what you do, some of them don't, right? Some of them are focused on certain size companies, certain industries, right? Do you have a sophisticated enough motion to be able to support some of these things, right? But at its core, right, every SDR team, in my opinion, can benefit from a lot of these things, right? Data, right, at the core of the offering, right? Sales engagement platform, calendar, CRM, right? Video prospecting, I think is super important, right? When we think about sales acceleration, right, or gamification, right, making it fun, engaging for our teams, right? All these things are super important, right? But you need to consider what's out there. You need to know what's out there. You need to be educated on the space and understand what's going to benefit my team, right? Not what's just cool or popular or what we see a lot of companies using these days, right? It needs to make sense for your business, right? And that's what I really want to dive into, right? ZoomInfo is a business, and those that are aware of what we do, right? For a long time, we were a B2B data provider, and that's what we did, right? We did it well, but that's what we did, right? As a point solution, right? And more recently, and over the last couple of years, we've changed that, right? We've seen how this landscape has changed. We've seen how having all these categories is pretty necessary to growing and scaling an SDR team, much like we did at ZoomInfo, right? You have to make the investment. You need to know where the investment needs to be made, right? What part of your team, what part of the funnel, right? Then you can make a good decision for your business, right? To include tech, implement it, and then get adoption from the team. So what I want to show you next is how we took a step forward as a company, right? And why this really applies to everybody, right? So as a business, like I said, we were known for these first 4 categories, right? Contact and company data, technographic data, intent, right? So the contact information, right? And some intelligence layer, right? As to why to reach out to somebody or when to reach out to somebody, right? We understood the trend that was happening and the patterns, right? And we knew it was important to our customers, but we understood the impact that it would have on our own go-to-market team, right? Being the largest user base of ZoomInfo, right? Especially our SDR team, right? And when you look down this, and if you're a sales dev leader yourself, like you may have one of these things, two of these, a lot of these things, right? And we saw it as an opportunity, right, to go from being a data provider, right, to more of a go-to-market support operating system, right? But you go down and you can see why all these things are important, right? You need to know who to contact, where they are, right? Is there technology, right, at those organizations that we can piggyback on, right? Is somebody who uses Salesforce as a CRM, right, a great customer for you because your technology, right, sits within it or on top of it, right? Or are we trying to displace certain technologies that are out there in the market and we want to be able to target them specifically? Intent has been at the core of our offering for a long time, and that intelligence layer is really important because you can identify your total addressable market and you can have your ideal customer profile, right? But even beyond that, right, you need to know, is somebody doing a lot of research online on a specific service or solution that you offer, right? And is it their research time and they're about to make a decision and you need to insert yourself in that sales cycle? You can keep moving down, right? Conversation intelligence, right? You think about the ability to coach your reps, right? Provide feedback, really break down and analyze calls, and how does the opener sound, right? How are the objections being handled, right? And what are we doing from there? Are we establishing next steps? Are we letting things slip through the cracks, right? Sales engagement, right? We all know this one, right? All those logos on the left, right? Outreach, sales off, really big players in this space. Like, we understand the importance of automating some of our outreach, right? Emails and sequences and templates, scheduled emails, dialers, right? They're crucial, right, to the day to day of an SDR, right? And making your reps as efficient as possible has to be paramount, right? And when we think about this, right, it continues to move down, right? Conversational marketing, right? A chat feature on your website, right? Are you capturing people who come to the website but maybe don't fill out a form, right? How many leads are we potentially missing out on, right? Because we don't have a technology in place to be able to capture that, right? Enrichment, right? Thinking about from our standpoint, somebody comes to the website, fills out a form, but omits most of the fields except for maybe their email, and that's it. Well, with enrichment, you have the ability to bounce that off of a data source, right? A data asset, right? And then be able to fill in the gaps so that when the rep who's fielding that lead gets it, there's a first name, a last name, a title, a phone number, and an email address, right? So they can reach directly out to that person, right? And convert that lead and turn that into pipeline and opportunity and hopefully a closed one deal one day. And then the last piece, right, that I think is really worth calling out here is the data orchestration, right? Having a data asset is great, but how does it get into the systems that your teams use every day, right? The CRM, the marketing automation tool, right? An applicant tracking system if you're in the recruiting industry, right? There needs to be an orchestration there to get that data from the data asset into the systems, right? And then takes it to the next level, right? From an engagement layer, right? And throughout the last couple of years, we've pulled together this product suite, right? Because we know how crucial it is to the go-to-market motion, especially for SDRs, right? And being able to provide it under one roof, we knew was going to be a win for our customers, right? But it's also a win for us internally, right? My teams use most of these tools every single day, right? Sometimes they know it, sometimes they don't. Some of it's the automation, things that happen in the background, but what it does, right? And it makes them a very efficient team when we go to market, right? As a whole, right? So the idea, like I said earlier, right? We were once, B2B data and intelligence, right? But now we see it as a go-to-market operating system, right? Because once you start plugging all these techs in together, right, you have a really fluid motion. You're operating efficiently, right? You're maximizing output, you're maximizing the MQLs that your team is generating. And that's what I want to talk about next, right? This applies to every business that does sales development as a motion, right? For us, it's our own Zoom info data, but this is any data source, right, that you might be leveraging, or any couple of data sources, right, that you could be leveraging, right? You go out, you buy a list, go out, you buy a subscription to a data provider, right? You're getting access to, contact information, titles, names, company information, right? But what happens from there, right? Things need to progress, right? That data needs to make it into the tools that your reps are living in every day. Otherwise, you've got reps jumping from window to window to window trying to do their job, which just, again, sounds like a nightmare, right? But if you can implement an orchestration layer, right, get that data from the asset, right, into the tools that the team or the systems that they're using, CRM, marketing automation, applicant tracking systems, right? Then the data is living where they live, right, throughout the course of the day. And then every company has to take it another step further, right? We need to get it to the engagement layer, right? So we need to take it another step and get it into the hands of the different tools that our teams are leveraging, right? Is that maybe a chat feature on your website? Is it a sales engagement tool for dialing and emailing, right? Or is it, a conversation intelligence tool like Chorus, right, on our behalf, right? But when we think about this, our reps get to go to market every single day, right, with this in mind and this happening in the background, right? The data is filling in from ZoomInfo into our CRM and then into the tools that our team's leveraging every day, right? We have a dialer, we have an emailing tool, right? We have a scheduling tool, we have video prospecting tools, right? We make the investment for our teams because of the efficiency that it affords us, right? To move at the velocity and the speed and with the volume that we need as a company to be successful, right? So it's all about setting the team up for success long term, right? But there's a lot of things that go into that over the course of time. Um, and how I bring this right full circle to the SDR team and impact that it's had and why it's been successful, right, and why it matters, right? We at ZoomInfo, we have an SDR motion, right, built on obviously talent, right? We recruit, but also the technology that we put in place for our reps, right, every single day, right? So we're going to invest in talent, we're going to interview, we're going to up coach, skill. We're going to put everything in front of them that they need, right? We're going to project a very clear career trajectory for them, right? Set them up for long-term success, right? I think the expectations and what you do up front matters a lot. Then when you marry this with the tech, right, that we put into the hands of our reps, right? Here's what's happened for us, right? Ramp time went down, right? Our onboarding is dedicated to the product that we offer, right? The market that we're serving, right? And then a huge piece of it is to the tech stack, right, that we provide to our SDRs, right? Because I don't want to give somebody hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of tech every month, right? That's what it costs the business, and they're not leveraging it appropriately, right, or accordingly, right? And they have an opportunity in front of them, right, to go to market, right, do it well, do it efficiently, right, and progress their career really quickly, right? We have a standard of a sub 90-second lead response time, right? How do we accomplish that, right? We have data quality and enrichment tech, right? It's grabbing that data point that comes to the website, it's filling in the gaps that are missing, right? The integrations that exist, right, are kicking that from the website to the marketing automation tool to the CRM, right? And it's kicking it to the SDR, right? And then we're leveraging an engagement tool at that point, right, to pick up the phone, send an email, and get in contact with that lead in 90 seconds, right? We understood that putting all of this stuff in place for us, right, and setting it up, right, so that our team, right, could actually call somebody who might still be sitting on our website poking around, right, the impact on the conversion, right, through the roof, right? And what we were able to see there is like that was a sustainable process that we could keep up because of the tech and the automation that we put in place, right? We saw increased retention and productivity, right, across the board, right? Our reps were just simply more efficient at the end of the day, right? They were seeing more success, they were booking more meetings, right? They were seeing more wins come across the finish line, right? We took out unnecessary manual processes. Like if you've ever been in a role where you need to manually input calls and emails, right, into Salesforce all day, right, it's a drag, right? So when you have tech set up, so when you make a call somewhere, you send an email from somewhere, and that's integrated with your CRM, all the information is living there, right? Everything that you need, you're not doubling down on work, right? That could be a real drag for somebody in a role like this where they're working their butt off, but then they got to do all this minuscule work, right? They got to go back, they got to check the system. Did it log? Did I make sure that I put that in there? Right? And we took that off the table, right? We knew that that wasn't what we're paying SDRs to do, right? So we wanted to make them as effective as possible. And ultimately, at the end of the day, by being exposed to this tech, by leveraging this tech, right, and then being able to talk about it as part of our offering as well, right, it made closer-ready salespeople during the first year or so of their tenure with ZoomInfo, right? So they were able to then transition from being on the SDR team to, say, an account executive role or an account management role, right, where they're able to discuss the impact of this, tell a story around it because they're users, right, of the tools that they're talking about. and understanding the efficiencies that they provide and why teams see so much success from leveraging things like that. But this was really the most impactful piece of the tech install, if you will, that we've gone through over the last couple of years and why we benefited. Furthermore, right, we think about our online presence, right, and response times that I already mentioned, right? But we have tech, right, that captures and scores leads. We have tech that routes leads. We have tech that enriches the data points on the leads that come through, right? And then we have tech that allows SDRs to engage with prospects immediately, right? 2-3 years ago, right, an inbound conversion for us of maybe 25% was really great. So 25% of the leads that come through, we were actually converting to meetings, right? But through the tech install, right, through the investment, through the coaching, the implementation of, some trial and error too, right? Because not everything that we tried worked, right? We were able to then increase the lead volume, increase the headcount on the SDR team, increase the number of demos we were scheduling per month while maintaining that sub 90-second response time across the board, right? So getting to a 50% conversion, right, on our inbound funnel was a huge accomplishment, right? Now it's about how far can we push those limits, right? And how much further can we go with it? But this was like groundbreaking for us, right? Understanding that if we put things in the right place at the right time, right, we were going to benefit, our reps were going to benefit, they were going to be more successful, they were going to move faster with their career. It was going to put them in a better position long term, right, to have very successful sales careers here at ZoomInfo. And just to highlight it a bit further and why it's impacting reps and why the investment in tech matters so much, right, for your SDR team is it allows you to create a pathway and a progression, right, that you can map out for your team and explain to them, right, you're supposed to be learning and implementing these things and they're going to lend to your success and then you're going to move up, right? And this is what moving up looks like, right? First 1 to 4 months or so on our inbound team where your learning process and setup and talk tracks and the market. It's where you build the foundation for your sales career here at ZoomInfo, right? When you transition to the outbound team, right? When you've really grasped all the technology and the product, right? And the talk tracks and objection handling, right? You're an outbound rep. Now you're proactive, right? Now you're taking all those things and you're leveraging the tech probably at a greater extent on the outbound side, right? Because you want more touch points. You want to multi-thread into accounts. You want to make sure the emails are going out. You're setting follow-up tasks and you're dialing when you need to be, right? Automation is there, right? You're setting up alerts and you're coming in the morning, right? And you're seeing alerts on accounts that you're prospecting, like what happened, right? Was there a personnel move? Are they doing research online for ZoomInfo or a product or service similar to what we do, right? And that transitions you to the senior outbound role where you're working at an optimal level, leveraging all the tech, right, with your go-to-market approach. You're putting yourself in this, kind of final bucket of personnel for promotion, right, out of our SDR team, right? And every time you move up, you're building on that credibility of this is what the tech has done for me, and this is how I can talk about it, and I can tell a story about it, right? Whereas salespeople, we're storytellers at the end of the day, right? So that makes a really big difference for us personally at ZoomInfo, right? In month 12, 13, 14, you're moving into an account executive role, right? And then you're moving up through the ranks of our account executive team, all of which who leverage many of the same technology stack that the SDR team does, dialers and emails and automation and enrichment, all these things that every team really needs. But it's also granting people an opportunity through this knowledge to pursue opportunity in other areas with our business, right? Customer success, demand gen and marketing, operations, product manager, account manager, probably another half dozen departments that we've had SDRs get promoted from out of our organization, right? Because they're comfortable talking to prospects. They know the product inside and out, right? They've leveraged the tech, which are used on a ton of different products and projects, I should say, internally. Where we are now, right? This is the average time frame for somebody in our organization, right? They're moving through in about a year's time. They're mastering the technology. They're understanding why it was really important to have at their disposal, why it's important for other go-to-market teams to have this type of technology at their disposal. And they're really crushing, what they've got going on. And what it looks like through our full funnel, right? Just a quick kind of overview. And why it applies to the SDR team, but the entire go-to-market organization, and why looking at tech matters in a number of different areas, right? Just beyond the dialer, just beyond an emailing tool or a scheduling tool, right? It's because you can leverage them everywhere, right? And it's going to benefit all the departments throughout the life cycle of a customer, right? From the very beginning with demand gen and marketing, all the way through the customer life cycle, the experience, the customer journey, if you will, right? And at the bottom, you can see, right, at the beginning, it's lead scoring and enrichment and conversion optimization, and then it's demo scoring and demo routing and scheduling internally and a demo booking process so that those meetings are distributed equitably across the AE team, right? So everybody's full, their demo quotas are being hit, they're all getting enough opportunities every single month to go out and hit their numbers, right? Then account segmentation and potentiality score and account assignment, right? It's done very strategically, right? When we score an account, we understand who it should go to, why they should be getting it, right? Are they a specialist in a certain product? And then we finish the integration implementation and attribution tracking and health score on our customers, and we understand, right? Are they likely to churn? Are they going to come back? Are they going to renew with us? How has their adoption been? How's the usage across the board, right? We're leveraging tech in every single aspect of our business right now. And it's putting us in a really great position to continue to scale because we have a lot of repeatable processes in there and we have a lot of automation, right, that benefits us on a daily basis. Last thing here, right, when I think about what is the takeaway, the things that really matter, why the tech landscape is so important, right? It is super useful, right? But you need to understand why you want to implement it, right? And you need to understand what the business outcomes are that you're expecting, right? Is it more MQLs? Is it more meetings? Is it a better conversion rate, right? Is it more pipeline, more revenue generated? Where does it fit in to your go-to-market motion, right? Ensure that there's a process in place for the adoption across your teams, right? I think a lot of times what companies understand is the number one reason somebody might not renew for their product or service is because, maybe adoption wasn't there, right? Make sure that there's a process in place ahead of time for how we roll it out, how setup happens. There's coaching, there's enablement, right? Whether that's enablement teams leading it, whether it's SDR managers, right? We need to make sure that that happens. You got to align resources where you have them across departments for that rollout and ongoing support. So think your rev ops team, your sales ops teams, your marketing ops teams, like those people, right? If they exist within your organization, definitely need to be part of the conversation and part of the rollout, right? Because that's what they're paid to do, right? They're there to support from a technical standpoint, right? And make sure that things are working optimally for the sales team so we can continue going to market, right? And keep yourself up to date with the ever-changing tech landscape, right? Be open to exploring new resources for your team. This is the one thing that I think everybody can benefit from. You saw the first two slides that I shared, that how 4 years has passed and how that tech landscape chart had changed, right? The number of categories, the number of players, right? Keep an eye on that. See how it changes, see how it grows, see who's new, right? You see a product that looks interesting, go take a look at it, right? Understand if it could help your business, right? If there's a legitimate business case, right? You keep the conversation going. If not, you move on, but you're better educated as a result, right? So if it's a competitor in some way, right, or something that other companies are using, right? Maybe a competitor of yours is using it, right? You understand, do they have a strategic advantage? Is there a competitive advantage to them having it and you not, right? But it's better to have that knowledge and understand it than be in the dark. So I just suggest to everybody, like, keep an eye on that as that chart updates and gets bigger and bigger and more categories get added, right? Keep yourself up to speed, right? Know what's out there, know what you could be using, right? Know what can make your team better at every given point in time. But beginning to end, right? That's my spiel, right? That's the importance, right, of tech in SDR motions, tech in the go-to-market motion, right? How it's changed. I mean, the number of players and the number of products that are out there, right? It's insane, right? You just got to be up to speed. You got to know what's out there. You got to know what your business needs, where it can be implemented, how it can be implemented, right? And what you're ultimately looking to get out of it. And I can't stress that point enough, right? Tech for the sake of tech is not a good idea. But if you take the time, you review it, you understand the business case, it's going to put your company in a really great position, and it's going to make everybody a lot more efficient and ultimately a better experience for your SDRs as part of your team. So But that's it for me today. I just want to thank everybody that was here and in attendance for hanging out. I know it's the last session of the day. Hope everybody had a great day today. And if you saw me twice, thank you for being in attendance for both of my sessions. But other than that, I hope everybody has a great evening. Enjoyed the festivities, if you will, and hopefully we'll be seeing again sometime soon. All right. All right. Thank you so much, everybody.